Welcome Steve King, who is now joining us here on Sports Time Ohio as our STOHD.com reporter. He covered the Browns for decades and also was a beat reporter, worked for the Cleveland Browns. He was a team historian. He just wrote a piece about Art Modell's passing and that Art Modell died 1,000 deaths before the one that was recorded this morning. So first of all, let us welcome you, Steve, to our staff here at STO. How you doing?
Great. Now, Bruce, tell me, what are you guys talking about today?
Yeah, one must wonder. Your thoughts of your reaction to the passing of Art Modell?
Well, I think those who knew of him, and I'm sure you consider yourself in that loop, and I know you are, knew that this was imminent. He had been in poor health for quite some time, and I think he just kind of lost the will to live when his wife Pat passed away last year, and it was just a matter of time until his own passing would come. I have mixed feelings. You knew Art like I knew Art. Great guy, just a wonderful philanthropist, a guy that was wonderful for his community. But, Bruce, I don't know that I can recall anyone in history because I don't know what Benedict Arnold did before, he did what he did. That basically lived a pretty good life, was revered in his community. Forget about the football aspect of it. People liked that, when there was money to be contributed, he was, opening his checkbook and, the Cleveland Clinic and this cancer clinic and this goodwill gesture here and there and everywhere. And then at the end, wiped it all away with a big eraser by moving the Browns out of Cleveland. Not just moving the Browns, but the way he went about doing it, and that's the key.
Will his legacy always be remembered for that here in Cleveland? Nationally, I don't think that will be the case because of him initiating Monday Night Football and the television contracts with the major networks back then with Pete Rozelle. But I'm talking here in Cleveland, Steve.
Well, I think so, Bruce, because unfortunately, guys your and my age are, we're on the upper end of things, and, we remember the pre-1995 days. There will be a whole new generation of people who will come after us who will remember basically things from 1995 on, so that will be their mantra carrying forward. That's the Art Modell that they knew.
Do you think people, it goes back further than taking the team to Baltimore. Think of guys in our generation that are holding it against him for firing Paul Brown.
Oh, my goodness, yes. And you need only go so far as to Massillon, Ohio, to run into those people. And, that's where Paul Brown built his legacy. And I think it's more than coincidence that there is a station in Massillon. It's the station that covers the Massillon Tigers that, if I'm not mistaken, is still on the Cincinnati Bengals radio network.
Do you believe that he will now be inducted following his passing into the Hall of Fame?
That was a great question. It's a question we had today in the media room. Now, there's two aspects to that. The question of, does Art go into the Hall of Fame? And this is the realistic question with, his moving of the Browns. And would Art go into the Hall of Fame if that hadn't happened? So I don't think that as long as there are people influential that are like our age who remember that, I don't think as long as they're in any form of power that will happen. I think maybe at some point he will get in. It's like everything else, it fades away. And, you saw Bill Clinton last night at the Democratic National Convention. There was a story in USA Today when he had a 39% approval rating when he left office. And now that approval rating is 69%. So we're a forgiving society. In the end, we always make people better than what they were, and I think at some point Art will get in.
You don't think it would be appropriate for the Browns to do a moment of silence considering the possible drunks and distractions that could cause an ugly scene?
No, I heard you just when I was on hold waiting, and I wholeheartedly agree, because more often than not, and you know that would turn into an embarrassing situation. It would turn into all those terrible people in Cleveland. And for the people in Baltimore who look upon Art as the guy that brought football back to the city, I don't think we need to kind of dampen their sorrow or to help their sorrow along. Well, I think the Browns made a statement. The reaction in this city is going to be what it is, and I think the people in Baltimore can appreciate that. But to exacerbate it by having 73,200 people all try to be on the same page or the way that you would respectfully do that, I think that's a bit much to ask.
And I am not going to let you go without telling us your prediction about the Browns in this 2012 season, which gets underway on Sunday, Steve.
Well, my prediction is this, Bruce, very simply. I think this team is going to be, and I will get to a win total in a minute, I think this team will be much more exciting to watch, especially offensively. I think it'll be interesting to walk out of the stadium now, and I think there will be a little bounce in everyone's steps because you're going to see young players play on this team in significant roles, and you're going to think, gosh, well, maybe they didn't win today, but I saw a guy make a throw down the middle of the field. I saw a receiver catch a ball. I saw a young linebacker make a play. And in a year or two, those guys are going to be making a lot more plays like that. So this is different than last year when you had a lot of guys older on the team, and you knew that before you could even start to fix it, you had to blow those guys off the roster and set about to do it. So with all that having been said, I think this team may not win that many more games than it did last year, maybe 5, maybe 6, but I think the outlook coming out of the season and throughout the season is going to be a whole lot more positive and hopeful and optimistic than it was not just last year, but really for the last 2-3 years.
We are so pleased to welcome Steve King to our STO family. You can check him out, the seasoned veteran, at STOHD.com on a daily basis, and certainly now with football season underway. Steve, thanks so much for joining us, and again, welcome.
Thank you very much on both ends. I appreciate it, Bruce. I'll be looking forward to talking to you down the road.
And we will do that a lot, my friend. Thank you very much, Steve King.